Let's set it off.
So I was one totally unescapist topic that I was curious to bridge with you guys was your thoughts on AI broadly and some of the crazy leaps of the last few months, and also more specifically your thoughts as writers on AI imagery.
Brandon, you start us off. How about that? You're our wonderful guest.
Oh, well, I'm a guest. I don't know if I'm a
You're
wonderful
wonderful,
one, but
sir. No, you're wonderful. I want you have to say it now.
okay, all right. I'm wonderful.
Yes, I love
Um,
that. See, you felt better. I feel better too.
in the past, I have used AI images a few times.
Mm,
Like it's been a while, but like I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. It was probably the first time I ever used them was on Medium, and basically, I mean, it was still kind of in the new stages, I would say, as far as like the quality of it. But I, because I would try to use Unsplash or Pexels or whatever to put an image or use my own if I could. But
yeah.
sometimes I'd search for one and I just could not find one that really fit what I was writing about. And I would go on an AI generator, whatever it was, and I would put in the prompt and sometimes it would come up with exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't have asked for anything more perfect.
Mhm.
So, I would use that. But then I started thinking about it, and I've read a couple articles about people arguing the other side of it. It's like, well, you're taking away from creators who artists and photographers who try to sell their work and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And so from then on, I very rarely used it, if at all. I would try to create my own, even though I don't like pictures of myself. I would I would set up the camera and try to think of a creative way
Yeah.
to take my own shots that would represent whatever I was writing about. So yeah, I can see both sides, but I try to veer away from using any kind of AI imagery, and I don't know if I ever do anymore.
Yeah.
Now, Walter, I know you're someone who's kind of famous now for making your own images for your articles.
Yeah.
Would you
Notorious.
say that
Let's say notorious.
notorious? Would you say that you've got an openness to scenarios like the one that Brandon just described, where people really exhaust all the open source options
Yeah.
and really can't find anything that suits the article?
I think Brandon touched on a lot of things. These are important topics because
Yeah,
as a writer, like finding that featured image can be really hard. You're like, I just
yeah,
want to get this thing done. Where's the featured image? And like the only like in the new stages too, we're talking about like, oh, AI is new. Here's an option. So naturally, everybody's going to experiment it with it then. So we have to kind of
Yeah.
separate it into that. It's like because the only time I ever rendered an image, I wanted the Statue of Liberty, but with Stormy Daniels' face. And this was after, like, she testified to get, Captain Ketchup here, his 34 felony counts. And I'm just like, Stormy Daniels is the face of liberty from now on. And I'm like, so I made this image. I'm like, that's kind of funny, but I
yeah.
didn't actually use it. And, but I prefer to do my own little drawings, and I'm a decent photographer. I've worked at that throughout the years. I just, yeah, more and more I find it off putting. Yeah, particularly the images. I despise it when it comes to the writing, but, there's places for it. There's places where people do fun things that, Shay, she did that talk with me. It was like, a throwback to, like, the '80s, and she did a series of book covers that inserted me into it using AI, and I thought that was pretty funny. I'm just
Yeah.
like, "Okay, that's a promotional tool where it's not really hurting anybody." Um, yeah, I do prefer, though, giving credit to I don't know, I just like the practice of finding the image. At this point, I've done so many drawings, and I do everything where I break it up, where I assemble them in Photoshop, so I have all these components. So I can pretty quickly I've done enough drawings at this point where I can pretty quickly make an image by the things I've
Mm,
already drawn. So it's pretty
Mm.
fast. I've got this huge folder full of images and then just using, just funny text and things like that. So I think the creative side, you learn things like you can take all the color out of a picture, but maybe leave red and you can insert the red back in. So you can make really dynamic images with just a little bit and most of the tools, like you can get, open source Photoshop type programs and things like that. So I think people would feel better if they made their own images, I think. And most of the time what you make is better, but yeah, those time constraints, I don't really begrudge people sometimes for at least experimenting with AI.
One of
Yeah.
the applications of AI that I think is both one of the very most common and also one of the very most frustrating for me to see is people using it to depict things that are extremely general and everyday.
Oh,
A
yeah. Yeah.
person being productive at a desk, kids playing
Oh,
at a playground, and I really find that like the vast majority of times that's the case where people haven't
Yes.
even bothered to look at their open source options before outsourcing to AI.
Or just take
And
a selfie of themselves. They could just as quickly, "Me at
right,
my
right.
desk."
yeah.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think one of the applications of AI I find the most acceptable is when what you're depicting is so outrageous that none of
Yeah.
the open source options really do fall in line with it. For example, a couple of satires recently I felt have been particularly good candidates for that. One I wrote about the revelation that RFK Jr. is really just three raccoons in a trench coat. There- I, I really didn't have a lot of good options there
You
for
couldn't
open
find that on
source.
Unsplash?
And
I was
and
gonna go ahead. Uh,
and another one of the ethical difficulties here is that I think a lot of the reason that people use AI generated images is because they realize that they can't actually afford to hire artists to
yeah.
create
Yeah.
for them. And in every case where I've outsourced AI. Certainly, if I'd actually hired a real artist to do it for me, I would have probably been happier with the result. But I've
Yeah.
also been kind of cynically aware that more than likely the article's not going to generate enough revenue to support another
Yeah.
creator being paid.
Yeah. I've got a cheat code on that though too, because 'cause I've got creative, daughters who are always and what and this reminds me of a story though, I might have told you at one point, but at one point we were at some bookstore and there was this game and it's like, "Oh, look, it's this drawing game featuring Disney characters." And I'm like, "We don't need that. You guys have this." It's like, "We can go home and make this game." So I, like, took a picture of the directions, and it was just like it was a character and then, like, a task, and then you had to draw it. So the girls went home and they had this camera that would print out like a black and white image of like this really cheap thing. And so they did like all the Disney characters. And they're like, Daddy, you come up with a list of things for them to do. So I'm just like I was writing out tasks for like sitting on a throne of human skulls and making a tent out of human skin. And so then it's like gets crucified. So it's like Goofy gets crucified. Then we'd sit there and play this game where they'd get one of the character images, and then one of the bizarre tasks that I'd written. So I've had my kids practice. That's what I'm getting to. I've had my kids practice drawing these absurd scenarios. This is just one of these family fun things that we've been doing for years and years. I got to write an article about that because I've kept all the drawings they've made because they're totally bizarre.
Well, that's
And
awesome.
save myself $50 too by not buying the game.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I have an issue with. Like I need to I can't afford to pay for, an expensive program that I create my own images or whatever, or
Mm.
like
Yeah.
even searching like Pexels and Unsplash are free, but then there's I can't remember the other oh, there's one that you have to pay for, but it's promoted on Pexels, and if you go on there and you look for an image, and like I'll put in my search term and I'll see this advertisement that has exactly what I want in it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, but you have to pay for it. So I'm like, oh,
It makes me think though too, it's like CGI, it's sort of like CGI is similar because there was a time in films where they'd have to get around the fact that they couldn't render stuff. And a lot of times their creative solution ended up being better. And so when you just default to, oh, I'll just render it, like everything is just rendered. And then you take these other ones, the earlier ones, like even the Lord of the Rings, where they did as much as possible, where they filmed things and then they would combine like real images, or you see sort of like their just creative camera angles where you get these odd shots. I mean, you go back, Brandon was one of the times when you came on, you went through like all the movies. Was they were Christmas movies? What
oh, the
were they?
Christmas movies by decade.
Yeah, and it's just like
Yeah,
when you're kind of watching those, you're like, "Holy cow, how'd they get that shot?" And it's just sort of like necessity, And when you're just like rendering things, you're just like, "Oh, this is the image I want." If
Yeah,
you can't find it, that's the best thing sometimes. Then you're like, "Well, what's my workaround?" That's the creative
yeah.
process. What's my workaround that fits my budget? And those of us that are broke writers end up having to be a lot more creative. We have to flex that muscle every day. So in the end, you get a better product. I think Yeah, you can kind of see as we watch movies, as they became more reliant on CGI, movies kind of got worse. Then they went back to like, oh, let's integrate a couple practical effects again. It's like, oh, that's better. Yeah, and it's cheaper too.
That's
I
kind of
think
the
that
way it was. Like oh, sorry.
I think that
It,
explains a lot of the resonance of Christopher Nolan movies these days, where he tries so hard to get the practical
mm.
effects and is so unwilling to outsource to special effects and AI. Obviously, people are so tired of the fake that maybe that explains some of the Odyssey's success, apart from its
Yeah.
general greatness. What were you going to say, Brandon? I love your
Oh,
shirt, by the way. Someone commented on that.
yeah, yeah. I did this myself. It's
Yeah.
my first attempt at tie dye.
I think it was beautiful.
Thank you. I thought it turned out well. I was happy with it. But I was watching a video with David McElroy. He was interviewing a lady about horror films, and she was talking about she did an in-depth article or thesis or something about Shakespeare, the Globe Theater, and the things that they had to use using fire and stuff like that, and um,
Yeah.
practical effects like you're talking about. And well, it actually caught the roof on fire, and that's
Yeah.
so it
Wow. Is this the show or is this what
Point one
effect?
for
Yeah.
AI.
Burned
didn't
all.
work out so well at that time, but but they improvised with what they had, and I think that's pretty cool.
In the Fablemans, I don't know. That's what it was called, right? So it was the Fablemans. Was that the one about Steven Spielberg? Kind of like his biographical show. Anyway, they're making a film, and it was like a kid, and he's making this cowboy film. And what he did was he just took the literal film to get an effect. It looks like they were shooting the guns. He just poked holes in like the muzzle of the gun. He like in the physical film, he poked a hole in there so that as the film played, there'd be a flash of white. And, it's like,
Oh yeah.
but I thought that was really cool. It's like, yeah, you just take a needle, you manipulate the physical film, and it was like to the audience, then they're just like, and that's really the magic of it, isn't it? It's like, how did you do that? It's like, that's not AI. And then it's like the curiosity kicks in. Because if it's AI, it's like, oh, I know how they did that. They just rendered it with AI. But if they use some sort of practical trick, and I mean, a lot of like the original Star Wars movies are so clever. It's like in a garage. And it's like, oh, and it's like, okay, now you kind of realize it's models or they just put the camera on the side, to give it a weird angle.
Wow.
But it's still just kind of fun to walk through that little challenge of it. You're like, ooh, it takes you a second to figure it out. And that's what we look for. That sleight of hand creativity.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
kind of goes back to the Christmas movies, like what I was talking about. The very first Christmas Carol, it was a very short film, but showing the ghost and like opening a little hole in the door and having his face there as if it were the
Mm,
knocker, the ghost face or whatever.
yeah.
So
And
yeah, they had little to work with.
it was interesting what you said about early on in the advent of AI, when the ethics around it were less established. And I definitely remember back in 2022, there was this real wide-eyed, "Oh, have you tried out this new tool? This is so cool," da da da, before people really understood the morality behind it, how these tools came into being, etc. But I remember, like, especially when it first came into being, those few times that I did outsource to AI to try to solve a problem of mine, it was always so unsatisfying to not arrive there myself. And
yeah,
there is a sort of application for it that I can advocate for. For example, if you're trying to figure out a very specific movie, um, there are questions that you can't so easily pose to a Google search. Like, what was that movie that came out around then that had a
yeah.
plot with so and so loosely and contained this actor and that actor?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, and Dr. Jamicia Connor, she's been using AI to evaluate like these databases for like healthcare with like
Mm,
millions and millions of data points. And it's like that makes total sense. AI is very well
yeah,
equipped to look at numbers or to compare numbers and like just a huge database. It's not as good at making poetry. It's just not. It lacks
yeah,
that. And every single time I've even think been on places where like, here's a tool for you. Here's an example of like notes that you'd write in your voice based on your other notes. And I'm just like, no, nope,
right.
nope. I
Yeah.
would not have written that. I never would have written that. Yeah. So instant.
Yeah.
Um, I think one of the strongest arguments against AI is to really try to envision what would happen if you told AI, okay, now pretend to be my parent, now pretend to be my brother or sister, it would fall so short
Yeah.
so quickly that no person could possibly be satisfied by the
Yeah.
result. But somehow there's this kind of detachedness when you're just it's a less personal relationship with your reader, with the content creator.
Have you seen the video of the guy trying to get AI to tell him how many R's are in the word strawberry? Have you seen
Oh
this?
yeah, yeah.
Oh
I've done the
gosh.
same
Well,
experiment
not
myself.
that particular. Yeah.
I
There's
also
this guy on TikTok that does a lot of those. He talks to AI and says how many E's are in 18 or something, 17 or
yeah.
something like that. Like there are two E's in 17 or whatever it is. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, there aren't. Count them for me. And he just it won't. It
Yes.
just will not give the right answer.
But it's
Seeing
gaslighting is what it is. It's like this passive
yeah,
aggressive, and that's what
yeah,
really pisses you off because then the
right.
machine gets feeling, "Oh, I see what the" it's so fucking condescending, and it's, like, wrong, and it's like, this is like every abusive
Yeah,
relationship. Why did we
yeah.
create abusive relationships? To be our little AI digital buddy? That's that no, I don't need I get enough of that in real life.
The gaslighting is so freaking funny with this strawberry issue. I've
Uh,
tried that a few times, months apart with different models, and to this day, it still persists. I've also taken it a step
Weird.
further, and this shit had the audacity to tell me that there's one R in the word raspberry. And
That's
and
funny.
when I pressed it on that, it like you said, it's like, "No, I can understand how you would
Oh,
think
yeah.
that there's more than 1 R, but
Yeah.
actually there's
Oh,
just 1 R at the end."
I see why you are confused, and it's just like
Right,
this endless tirade of,
Yeah.
like, all the
Yeah.
right.
lies. Is it maybe that's the whole purpose, just to browbeat us to submit to the AI? I mean, at this point too, like every new tool, like everything that's ever been launched in the history of humankind, I never use it for its intended purpose the first time it's like, this is just hardwired. It's like, can I get this to do this? This thing it's clearly not intended for, like 6 things that it's not supposed to do. And so like,
Right.
but I mean, every time I've tried to use AI, I'm like, how many primaries are left? And it won't tell me. It's like, I just need a number, like for the sake of writing an article. How many primaries remain? And then it'll like give me a link to a website that might tell me. I'm like, for the love of God, you can't just give me a number. And this has happened like 10 times. I'm just like, give me a fucking number, give me the answer. And they'll refer you to somewhere. But it's like, this is so unhelpful. All it's doing is pissing me off. So I just really don't use it.
I think Siri's total ineptness has been, like, one of the biggest drivers for me using ChatGPT on occasion. Like, that Siri has gotten actively worse over the years, I feel like sometimes. To my
Yeah.
connection,
Mm, you're coming back. We had a little lag in the
Oh
beginning.
yeah.
Come back. Yeah, I don't know. I started doing my drawings basically as a rejection of AI, and then it like gets to the point where like, oh, there's one of Walter's drawings. So then it's like, well, if you like me, it's like there's one of my drawings. So like that gets more clicks. It really distinguishes you when you're doing something like that, unique. So it's been to my benefit. I reject
an
all things
another thing that
like that.
another thing I've really been realizing about the advent of AI and especially the word slop, it isn't really slop that's the issue, if you ask me. It's not really the badness of this content that's the most notable so much as the homogeneity. Like, I'll read 10 drafts from 10 people in 10 different parts of the world, and they will all have exactly the same voice sometimes.
Yeah.
And the same is true with these images. Like, it's like the same artist has done
Yeah.
each of the last 10 AI images that I've seen, and it's like, mm, the sameness feels like the price much more than the crappiness to me, because AI slop really isn't worse on any objective level than so much of the writing that has already flooded the internet. Yeah, it's just the sameness. It's maddening.
Do you have a thought on that, Brandon?
Well, I think it's also a little frustrating the people that prefer it, like,
Yeah,
or that
yeah.
you know
They don't
the,
know.
the
Yeah.
people that read it and enjoy it. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
go read it. A
Yeah.
real person that
Right.
wrote it themselves. That's a little frustrating too. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
just
like, well, if
realized.
the information is good, then what does it matter? Well,
Oh,
it
well, I
it
just wrote
matters
down a.
because the only reason it could generate that is because it's took from a real person who did write about this.
Yes.
Ugh.
But I just realized when you read something that's been written by AI, it's like scrolling. It gives you that same sick, like when you scroll, it's always through garbage. You're scrolling, just kind of waiting for
Yeah,
something good to happen. Like there's this kind of just pregnant hope that something good will, and it's
yeah,
just you're not gonna stumble
yeah,
across anything good, but you just that tiny little shred of like desperate hope remains, so it just keeps you perpetually in that cycle. And then when you click on
yeah.
something and it's AI, that just continues, then you're like scrolling through AI writing,
Right.
which is also like death scrolling through slop. So it's the same, it just perpetuates this like horrific cycle that's our reality now. And it's just, yeah, just like you, like Brandon's got a shelf full of books behind him. Please. So, and then, but so many people in our world today, they just won't even try it. It's like, just open
Right.
any book to any page and try reading that, and it'll be better than anything the AI will ever done. And they just refuse to do it. That's the hardest thing. They're just like, no, no. They're just, no, it can't be. And then they insist. I see what the confusion is. They start talking like AI back to you. Oh, I see what's confused. Why you're confused. It's like, it's not me. Yeah. The
Well,
problem's not me.
this is not an actual bookshelf. There's an
Oh,
AI generated
oh.
background, so
That's
there are no
that's
books
so
back there.
oh, no, there have to be books in your house somewhere.
Yeah, that no, I'm just joking. But
You you almost took my heart out of my body. I'm just like, "Oh, oh, no." That actually I could segue because we just out of, like, 'cause there's always horrible things on the television to watch, and we're just like, "When you have, like, 20 minutes, what should we watch?" So I've taken to making my kids watch the old 1960s Twilight Zones, like the old episodes of
oh
the
yeah.
Twilight Zone.
They're so good. They're so
Well, they
good.
are
I
fun,
love Twilight Zone.
but then, like, within, like, 2 minutes, I try to write down what the conclusion's gonna be, and a lot of them 'em I've kinda seen, but I'm just like, but they do kinda follow a model where you can tell in the first couple minutes what the twist is gonna be. And there was one where this guy, he's always reading, he's reading, and then he gets locked in the vault at the bank, and the whole world is destroyed, and he's like, "Oh, there's plenty of food, but what am I gonna do?" And then he discovers the public library, and he's like, "Oh," he's setting all the books out. He's like, "Oh," he's just perfectly happy. Enough food, enough time to read all the books. And he sits down and he just kind of does like this, and his massive glasses fall and he breaks his
Right.
glasses.
Uh,
And I written in my thing, he breaks his glasses, and I could show that. So we have kind of a fun time with our family watching the old Twilight Zone
Ha-
episodes.
have you ever seen the SpongeBob episode that opens with a very direct reference to that?
No.
There's artist at sea, blank canvas in front of him, nothing but all the time in the world, and no land in any direction. And he puts his pencil on the page and just breaks.
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, man. We watched the one with William Shatner too. It's cool because he's the one with the
Oh,
man on the wing of the plane, and it's just sorta it's fun seeing those old actors, from when they're really young, like in one of their first couple roles. It has a surprising number. Just about everybody in a Twilight Zone episode is kind of famous.
I'm feeling deeply obligated to actually correct myself. He didn't break his pencil; it fell into the ocean, and
Oh!
that was what
oh,
created the plot of that entire episode.
Oh, it
They
came down from them to
SpongeBob and Patrick found this magical pencil from the real world that brought to life whatever they wanted it to. I'm apologies to
Oh,
anyone
I
who
gotcha.
I
well,
Soso
misunderstood.
Bro
the
mentioned the
irony
X-Files.
would be there if it did break. That would be funny.
Soso mentioned the X-Files, and I was having my kids watch the X-Files too, and it occurred to me because I used to watch it as, like, a science fiction show, but now, like, watching it again as an adult, it's just Dana Scully trying to have a boyfriend, like, it's like, "Mulder, you're handsome." It's like, "Quit being so weird." It's like, she's just literally like, "Would you just be my boyfriend?" Like, every single episode, like, the tension of that, and it's, like, not written into the plot. It's just entirely brought to her as an actress. It's kind of funny, and that's why that show is appealing, I think. I don't know if Soso agrees or not, but I thought that was funny the last time I watched it. "Just quit being weird. Be my boyfriend. Take me out to dinner. Just" I thought that was kind of fun. I relate to that.
My dad was a big X-Files fan. I never got into that one too much, but
Soso
ironically,
doesn't agree.
Twilight Zone is the one that I've seen a pretty healthy amount of. I've seen probably at least 2 seasons in their entirety, and I
Which
I
show?
don't think it's I don't what?
Which show
Of
did
the
you see 2
X-Files?
seasons? Oh, of the
This
X-Files?
this was Twilight Zone I'm talking about.
Okay.
Oh, Twilight Zone. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if my connection is
No,
not
I just got
terrific.
distracted. You'd said it, but I
Okay.
was reading So-So's comment.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm getting intermittent internet connection prompts, so apologies if I'm
Tech bros.
at all
You need a
in and out.
data center. What you need is a data center near your house.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's what this area is missing.
Now that's gonna be a
Flatten all
clip.
flatten the trees and put a data center there.
My next clip on Fox News will be that. Well, they'll start using that as an endorsement. You got to be watching what you say on the internet.
Have you ever seen those memes where it's just like a beautiful picture of nature and mountains, and it's like what this area needs is a Walmart?
Yeah. I used to do that when I was the editor of Living in Peru. I'd always take pictures of Machu Picchu and put like a Starbucks like right in the middle. It's like Starbucks coming to Machu Picchu. Americans rejoice. And I would get all these. They always let me do what I wanted on the April Fool's Day. So I would have all kinds of articles like that. People would get pissed. No, you can't put a Starbucks in. And so I'd be answering the comments all hostile.
I mean, all those stairs up that pyramid, you need a Starbucks in the middle of those to
Yeah.
let people stop and rest for a minute.
Maybe 2 Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Machu Picchu mocha. That's what you need to get up there.
What I was upset about was once I got to the top of Machu Picchu, they charged me to use the restroom.
Yeah, that's a Peru thing. Yeah. It's usually 50 cents, but you'd think it'd be to their benefit to have you use the best restroom.
Yeah, it's I already paid for the ticket. Let me at least get free restroom privileges. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's odd. Never heard of that.
And
It's
I
like
just
50 cents.
I didn't even really think to bring cash with me for that final hike up Machu Picchu. So thankfully, I had something on me, but it was still short of the fee they were asking me to use their bathroom, and I had to go so bad at that point that I just handed them what was in my pocket, walked in, and they go, "Sir, sir," and I just kept walking.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? It started. You can't stop it now. Yeah.
Pinch it off.
The enforcer. Yeah. Good thinking,
Right.
man. I'm glad you did that. Some people would stand and wait. It's like, nope, this has to happen. This is happening.
Right.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. I was gonna say though with the AI thing too. A while ago, they'd made a version of the Twits, the Roald Dahl, and I really love Roald Dahl stuff, and they did a movie version of the Twits. And in hindsight, I'm like, that script had to be an AI script. And because there was so much stuff in it that kind of sounded like Roald Dahl. Like they had this whole like subplot about Loompa Land, and it's just like all these other magical creatures and stuff that came from Loompa Land. I'm like, it kind of sounds like Roald Dahl, but something is just making me feel it's like, yeah, it's like Frankenstein's monster version of Roald Dahl. It's like bringing it back to life. Zombie literature. That's what we should call AI.
Yeah.
Oh, it made me creeped out. We were so upset.
Yeah, I
We're
don't
still
like
mad
that idea. The idea of the music too, like the Beatles.
Ah,
Creating new music from the original Beatles.
That's an interesting because they did that album where they had like some demo tapes that John Lennon had did, and they
Right.
fixed them up, and even that was creepy, and it was his voice. So, but then like it'd be another step to do like an AI version of John Lennon's voice for harmony. They haven't done that yet, to my knowledge, but yeah, that line between enhancement and creation is kind of
Yeah.
it's getting blurrier all the time.
Was that separate from the Beatles one, Now and Then? Is that what you're thinking of?
Brandon, is that what?
Oh, all I heard about was that them taking some of the old tapes and enhancing them, and
Yeah,
it wasn't exact. I mean, I know they were using his voice, but it wasn't like all original. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Back in
yeah.
back in 2023 or so, there was a song that came out called Now and Then that was purported to be the Beatles' very last song. It was begun by the Beatles, and they'd at least come up with the general melody and idea and lyrics, I think,
Mhm.
but it was AI that mastered and completed it, I think. And
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I
Yeah,
and
that
I
might
would
have been
have
it.
Yeah.
and I just wasn't sure if that was what you were talking about with the John Lennon or not. But to my ear, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. It wasn't one of the Beatles' more transcendent songs, but nor was it one of their more throwaway songs.
They did the 2 for that. One was called Free as a Bird. I can't remember what the other one is. And I mean, a lot of the
Yeah, Free as a
composition
Bird I really
process.
liked.
Yeah, I mean, it was good, and it was but and a lot of their composition process was that, where Lennon would work on something and McCartney would work on something. They're like, "Here's a fragment of a song I have. What's your input?" And then they, to later, greater or lesser extent, I think it's a Lennon McCartney composition. Yesterday is, even though McCartney did the whole thing, and Lennon even
Mhm.
said he's like, "Yeah, he wrote that whole thing," but that was just their process at the time. But it is a different step where at least it's like now you've because I mean, obviously anybody's if you go onto my computer, there's 10,000 like article fragments, you can find things. And it's like, so obviously among John Lennon's possessions, there's 10,000 recordings probably. But it's like you miss out that point where you can take that recording, give it to Paul McCartney, he could add things. Part of the process is it has to go back to Lennon for approval, and that's what's lacking on these new creations. It's still kind of, I don't know. It's nostalgic. It doesn't make me creeped out as much Free as a Bird, but I don't like it as much as
Free
the other stuff.
Free as a Bird creeped you out? Or
No, that one didn't creep me out as
oh,
much,
okay.
but I just didn't like it as much. It's not one I can listen to over. It's sad. It's just sort of
That
like he was dead when this came out, and it just feels like there's a lack of consent when you listen to
that
that.
that
Yeah.
and the song Real Love,
That's the other one. Yeah. Yep.
tap into something, very unique for me, and I really, really enjoy both. There is a real finality to them, so I think it is supposed to be haunting. Um, I
Yeah,
love both of those songs actually quite a bit. They're among my favorite Beatles songs, but I might
yeah,
be an outlier there.
I do like them, but yeah, maybe you put it right. It's a haunting kind of thing. It's a melancholy type of thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. Something about me doesn't feel right, but is it a rejection? I don't know if it's maybe it is just a sadness for the loss. I mean, I actually was alive at the same time as John Lennon. I remember when he was killed. And so it's just sort of like, that impacted that. I had my kids watch the Beatles documentary, and it was kind of interesting because my wife had never liked the Beatles. And then she was watching it and she was just like, she found some stuff that she liked.
Mm.
It was, I don't know, it's such a good story. They're so unique. The first like boy band, the things that they did, and they're already kind of fading from memory in a way.
I hate the contrarian take that the Beatles are overrated. The Beatles are incredible.
Yeah.
Mm.
Some of it is because of the recording quality isn't quite as good. I mean, you get the tape hiss, and it's like I like the tape hiss. It's warm. It like when the music starts, you hear just that tape hiss, and then they start to sing. But yeah, it's almost like you regard it as static, like where if you're used to crisp and clean digital recordings, you listen to the Beatles and there's some inconsistencies there. But I like rough around the edges stuff. Leave the commas out.
But have you seen Across the Universe?
I haven't
I
seen
love
that.
that
Is that
movie.
pretty good?
I love
I
it.
thought it was excellent. I love how they have different takes on it and stuff. Like the cheerleader singing, "You want to hold, I want to hold your hand," and instead she was talking to another female, talking about another female,
Oh,
and so it kind of puts a different
spin on it.
twist on it. And she sang it more as a ballad. They say, theirs was like
Yeah.
upbeat and everything. Hers was kind of a
Oh,
lament almost.
yeah. That the one where everybody's forgotten the Beatles music and somebody starts writing it
That's
again?
Oh
Or
yesterday.
no,
that's a different
That's
one?
yesterday.
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, this one is more of, I would call this one a musical. I'm not sure I would refer to that uh, one as a music. I haven't seen Yesterday, but I wouldn't call it a musical from what I've
Yeah.
seen about it.
Yeah, yesterday, isn't a musical. Music is just a part of the plot, kinda similar to,
Yeah,
the, A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan movie, in that way. But,
Oh,
Across the Universe, I it's funny with musicals because I almost hate to use the word because I think it'll remove a lot of people's, interest
yeah,
automatically. I'm kinda
yeah.
that way. I've got a resistance to musicals a bit, but, that is by far away the best musical that I've ever seen.
oh, huh.
The incorporation of music feels about as unforced as you can in a musical. The imagery, the way it captures the zeitgeist of the '60s, a lot of the renditions of songs in that movie are actually, I prefer them to the Beatles versions.
Uh-huh.
Um, I can't speak highly enough of that movie. It really,
I'll think
hit
of
hard
that.
when I first saw it.
When did that come
Yeah,
out?
I thought it was really good. I
I'll look for it.
I
15
don't
years
know.
now?
15 now?
Yeah.
That's because like, my wife is so into music, and whenever she's in it's like, "Okay, you've had a hard day at work. Let's try to do something that'll make you feel better." And I'll just look for anything that's got some dancing in it. And we even did the other day Strictly Ballroom. Did you ever see Strictly Ballroom? It's
No.
Baz Luhrmann, the guy who did, I think I get his last name right. He did Moulin Rouge and Elvis, and well,
Gatsby.
his very first film is this one, and it's just about ballroom dancing. And it was just like watching it, and it's like just anytime, and it's like if it's not, I don't think you could call it a musical, but it's always dancing and just watching them dance. I'm getting so I have a greater appreciation for that too. Like we brought it up, the Life of Chuck. That dance scene in The Life of Chuck is so good. Like where he's just walking along, there's this woman out playing drums, and it's
Yeah, I love
Tom
that movie.
Hiddleston. Is that as he say his name? He just walk and she's just like, I'm gonna play the drums based on the way he's walking. And he's like in his own world, but then it's like because he's like kind of in sync with music, he starts dancing and it turns into this big dance thing. It's really a beautiful scene. The whole rest of the movie doesn't quite live up to that, but that scene all by itself validates that whole movie. It's really, really good. I would encourage
I thought
everybody to go watch that.
I thought the first 2 acts of that movie left me expecting the greatest ending of all time, and it didn't quite, deliver that. Um, it was a very interesting movie, but I don't think it quite lived up to its lofty ambitions.
Yeah.
Very worth checking out. The dance scene in that is, really entertaining. I had the same response, even as someone who doesn't really enjoy dancing that much, like, the choreography and music of that part, so well done. Um what was I gonna say? Oh, a movie that I, just watched with my dad yesterday was called, High Fidelity.
Oh, I've seen that.
Came
Yeah.
came out in, 2000, starring John Cusack and recounts his, failed relationships from throughout the years. And it's a very recurrent theme with, my dad that he'll recommend a movie without remembering that it's a romance. I've got
Ah,
a pretty enduring resistance to romance movies, and even though this one is billed as a comedy, I think it leans a little bit too much into the romance for my liking. But with that said, it was more emotionally impactful for me than almost all of the romances that I've seen thus far. Those usually
huh.
feel extremely, in my face, cheesy, sentimental. I don't know
That's
what it is, but there's a
interesting.
disconnect for me with romances.
Do you have any favorite romances, Brandon?
Oh gosh. Um,
Yeah.
um, Love Actually is probably one of my
There you
favorite
go.
ones.
Yeah.
And it's I well, I just love the way they did it. It's so packed with stars,
Yeah.
really good actors. I just love all the different stories and how they get them to you see how they connect at some point, you know? And I don't know, I just love that one. And it's a kind of a Christmas movie
Yeah.
too.
Here he goes.
And yeah,
Don't don't do drugs. Become a rock star
yeah,
and they'll give them to you for free.
right.
Or don't buy drugs. Yeah. He's all serious about it. Yeah. I like
That
Love
that
Actually.
was that's probably one of my top ones, but I love, Meg Ryan, so I like You've Got Mail and Sleepless
Uh,
in Seattle, and, you know, so those are some of my top ones.
I'm gonna
and
look
Rick,
up best
go ahead.
I'm gonna look up, best romance movies of all times and see if there are any of these that I can agree are good movies. But what were you gonna
Well,
say, Walter?
So mentioned John Cusack, and
I like him
that's
a
my
lot.
age too. And I mean, like movies like Better Off Dead. Yeah, you could call Better Off Dead a romance. He's there's the French girl who lives next door, pretends she can't speak English because the son of the host family keeps treating her like she's his girlfriend. And but I mean,
Oh,
one that came to mind too was Say Anything, which is another John Cusack. John Cusack's like the perfect kind of like he seems like he'd be a sensitive first boyfriend, like type of thing. That's kind of the niche he pulls. And there's a scene I was thinking about in Say Anything. I haven't seen it in a while, but like he's dating this
I'm
girl and he's like really falling in love with her. But then her father tells her, it's like, you got a lot of things ahead, you got to drop this guy. And so, because she's got such a strong relationship with her father, she's like, well, that's probably the right thing. So then they break up and it leaves John Cusack like, what? He's just like, and he's kind of right? Because he's like, she was forced into leaving him. And he's like, I gotta be respectful. He's like caught in this space where he's like, I gotta be respectful because she ended the relationship, but it's not right. Something's not right. And so then like he's driving around in his car, like talking, he's talking into a voice recorder. He's just like, what can it be? What's hey, it is like he's just trying to work it out. And it's like so relatable because we've all probably had that in relationships where it's like you were rejected. Why did this happen? What's going on?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
then but then he's like, "What about these guys? These guys over here." It's like this group of toughs. He's like, "They got stuff worried out. They're never worried about anything. I'll go ask them, see what they know." So he goes ask them, and they're just so they're just terrible. He gets back in his car and goes, "That was a mistake." It's a good scene.
I saw someone mention 1408 in passing, which isn't a romance, but is a John Cusack movie. And I'm always so disappointed at how few other people are aware of this one. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, to be honest. The existential aspect of that one is just oof.
I haven't seen that yet, but I've been wanting. I've wanted to see it for. I remember when it came out, and I thought it looked so creepy and good, and I wanted to see it, but for some reason I still haven't. But yeah, that's one I'd like to see.
That's the
It's
hotel
one of
room you mentioned. I was answering somebody. Yeah, 14, whatever it
it's
was. The number ends.
1408.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the most simple premises in that the most of the movie is just one guy locked in a hotel room. But oh man, so haunting. The imagery of that one is just. I think it's my favorite Stephen King story, probably, even though it's only a short story. But I'm looking at a list of best romance movies of all time. It's got to do something else for me to agree that it's a good romance. Like
Starman.
Titanic, it's listing as the best one. Titanic, I think, is incredible. I love Titanic.
Oh yeah,
I guess. Except there's room
Sleepless
on that
in
damn
Seattle didn't
tour.
do much for me.
They could have both floated. Yeah.
50 First Dates. I did see while I was 30,000 feet above
That's
the
Adam
ocean. So
Sandler's
it
not.
might have just been
Yep.
it might have just been the oxygen deprivation at the time, but that one hit me hard.
Huh.
I think it was entertaining. It was pretty funny. I like Drew Barrymore,
I like it.
and it was entertaining. But I definitely wouldn't put it at the top of best ones of all time.
When Harry Met Sally didn't do much for me. Breakfast Club didn't do a whole lot for me, but I will
Breakfast Club. Yeah.
I will revisit.
Oh, I was thinking the other one. But...
I did like Ferris Bueller. Yeah, not a lot on this list.
Romance? Ferris Bueller's not a romance, though. I wouldn't say
it was same director.
Oh, okay, that's
yeah.
Cues. Is that his?
Yeah, definitely not a romance.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say Starman came to mind. Did you ever see that one? That was. I guess that one is pretty cheesy, but it's like the creature or that extraterrestrial comes from I think Jupiter and then inhabits. He finds like the hair of this widow's ex-husband. You know, she's kept his hair, and then it like reconstructs his body. So then he has to go cross country. Yeah, but so she's just like she thinks she's being abducted by this thing that looks like her husband, and then it's that's John Carpenter. I've got a soft spot for John Carpenter movies. Anyway, so,
I can't do Halloween. The Halloween franchise did nothing for me.
Well, scare movies like that. I watched Scream with the kids the other day, and because just I was like, how are you guys gonna like scary movies? And that one's kind of comical, and but you could see them react in the way that you are supposed to react. Don't go into that room. They were doing all the things that you're being so stupid. Why are you having this conversation? So it's fun to see that reaction because it's really good at provoking that reaction from the crowd. But like the older Halloween movie or older scary movies, they're just so slow and the tension's just not there, especially with the levels of gore and CGI stuff that we've seen since then. They just don't work.
I think The Exorcist is the single most overrated movie I've seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
I can absolutely not for the life of me get behind a damn minute of that movie. I swear to God.
It's been so long since I've seen that.
Did it scare you the first? I haven't watched it the whole thing. I just never avoid. But did it?
I don't know if I have either. I don't remember. I mean, it's been so long. I just don't even. I don't. And like you, I don't. I'm not even sure if I saw the whole thing. I can't remember. I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
I'm thankful Simon Dillon isn't here to castigate me because I think he considers that his very favorite horror movie of all
Really?
time. But
Oh, yeah.
I could not freaking stand that movie. It's so slow, so unscary when it is even a little scary. And man, I feel like it's another like Scream. I feel like Scary Movie did it better. The satire. Um,
Well, we
yeah,
surpassed the
we gotta.
technology, but at the same time, I mean, like, the original version of Nosferatu, did you ever watch that? Like, the black and white one? It's pretty creepy.
Oh, oh.
Like, the old
I
one
tried.
is pretty creepy. Okay, but yeah, but I was probably more creeped out by that than some of the other like, my kids the first time I watched Jaws, I was, like, afraid to take a shower, you know? And my kids were, like,
Yeah.
laughing all the way through Jaws, and it's like, with time, I don't know, it just doesn't have the impact anymore. That's kinda interesting about film, I think.
One horror that I saw recently was Lee Cronin's The Mummy. It came out this year.
Oh, okay, haven't
I
seen
thought it
Oh
was
yeah,
pretty
you mentioned
good.
that the other day. I've been looking at that one in my streaming selection. I still haven't started it. I was
I got
curious.
kind of tired of like The Mummy. It there's it's usually this old sarcophagus, and it's there's a curse and whatnot, and but this one is more modern, and this couple loses their daughter is goes missing, and she's been gone for years, and then they find her, and she's been in this sarcophagus, and she's it's really creepy and weird, and so it's a different take on it, which I really appreciated. I just get tired of the same old story all the time,
Yeah.
and this one was a little different, and it was pretty creepy, and I liked it.
We've had such a good run of horror movies this year that I've been a little resistant to go into one that breaks this trend going, because it's been like 5, 6 in a row that have been just like borderline masterpieces, and I'm concerned that The Mummy is going to be the one to break that. Not because it's bad. It's rated decently enough, but it looks a little more like the standard formula horror movie that it's pretty
Yeah.
common.
Well,
I could be
have you
wrong
seen
about
the
that.
last have you seen the last house?
No.
It just
I'm
came out this year. It has kind of the same vibe as A Quiet Place and Bird Box, if you like
Oh,
those.
yeah, I saw
But
that. Okay.
if you're not wanting to break your trend, you probably shouldn't watch it.
Okay.
It's it wasn't it wasn't great. It was I don't know. It's just didn't do it for me. It
Yeah.
had potential. As
Mm,
starting out, you're kind of, whoa, it's really creepy. They're stuck in this whole neighborhood. Everybody is stuck in their houses. They're like they can't get out for some reason. But it's just
yeah.
plot holes, and it just I don't. It didn't work out.
Leilani makes a good point in the chat about how the music, like with Jaws, just that music, in the darkness of the theater. And it's like we give so much trust to these filmmakers because if they just hit you with bright lights and loud music, they can give you a heart attack just because of that. And there's various chords and stuff they can hit that can just actually make you sick. And so I think a lot of it, but I still just am interested in how like modern films. But yeah, if you don't have any budget, you get away with tricks like that. And that's kind of the thing with horror movies. They know how to just hit those kind of point, make you feel sick. Ooh, and then you left thinking you had some sort of an experience. Yeah, but, the
And
way films have changed, we watched The Bear the other day. Have you seen this isn't a horror movie, but have you seen The Bear?
the show?
No, there's a movie called The Bear, and it actually follows this bear's mom dies, and it's like this baby bear cub, like, walking through. So it came
No.
out at, like, probably maybe 90. When I was watching it with my kids, they're like, "This is the type of movie they used to make us watch in middle school." That's what
Oh,
they said. It's just but I was just like but my tastes are like, "Oh, it's just the pace is so slow." And I'm like, "They'll sync up with it," and it's just sort of like it's like being in British Columbia in 1885, that's what it's supposed to be, and you're watching this bear run there's a scene where the bear eats these mushrooms and it's like hallucinates and it does all these things. My daughter kept going, she's like, what is the point of this? She's very literate. So she's like, if she can't tell what the plot is or what we're building up to, she starts getting very frustrated. And a lot of times it's just really slow pacing. So she was just like, this is useless. But I'm like, the point of that really was to just kind of get lost yourself, like, lose yourself, and like imagining this is what you're a bear cub, and it's like that's gonna be slow because what are they gonna do all day? And it's like it worked for me, but I think it doesn't work anymore. I'd be interested, Ben, if you saw it. It's on Canopy. You can get it for free on Canopy.
What you just said
Mm.
at the end there reminded me a lot of my relationship with Walking Dead.
Mm.
I think that it's one of the reasons why it's so boring for people is because it's such a realistic depiction of what would actually happen if the world
Ah,
ended. Like it's
Oh,
very cyclical.
yeah.
It's a very cyclical show of people finding shelter and having the shelter overrun and fleeing again. Because if the world were overrun by zombies, that's what
yeah.
you would be doing. So it's in its total realism where it falls short.
Huh.
Yeah, that's kinda how what my impression of it was. I started watching it, and it was okay to start off with, and then I just
Yeah,
got tired of it. It's like, okay, they're going out
yeah.
and hunting zombies, and,
Mhm.
it's just repetitive, and I was like, "Okay, I've seen enough of this," you know?
Th you
That's
have to
that.
you have you have to wade through a lot of crap to get to these moments, but occasionally it really does a good job capitalizing on the just spaciousness of it all.
Yeah, yeah. The bo that reminds me though of in Hot Tub Time Machine, the kid's playing a video game where he's in jail, and he's like, "You've been in jail for like 3 weeks." He's like, "Well, I'm learning accountability for my actions." Like, "Don't play this video game. Why are you sitting in jail?" So, I don't know, yeah, that's a disconnect between our generation or older and younger people sometimes. You can't watch The Bear, but you can play a video game where you're in jail. That's what I don't understand.
An Another question from, Leilani that she asked a little while ago that I wanted to address, that's
Ah.
kind of a loaded question, but, how is pop culture, affecting what's going on, today?
Mm. You know what? That has a couple different levels because there's the panderers, you know? We we talked about this once before, during the Obama administration, you've got movies like 12 Years a Slave, and then, like, during Bush, you have movies like The Patriot, which is, like, the most, like, propagandized version of history. You
Mm,
know, it's like you just kinda see those trends happening. But then there's yeah, it changes. I mean, like South Park, you see what
mhm,
South Park is to do. That was probably on your mind, Ben, like how the influence it has there. I know a lot of the things that I've written to my kids have,
yeah.
it's like, "Oh, there's this plucky young fairy who's in an election and she wins, but her opponent refuses to concede, and so then it causes all this problem." So you're just kinda yeah, The Lord of the Rings is World War II essentially, even though they denied it, but you can't live through that trauma of that time without having that emerge in your creative works. So I guess we could continue. What are your thoughts?
I I think the, ingenuity of movies that we've seen this year in particular really feels to me like backlash against AI to be on one end and just the homogeneity of movies on the other hand. All these same superhero movies and sequels and remakes. It ties into the AI conversation pretty well. Um,
I
and
I think one of the Oh, sorry. Were you done?
I was pretty much done there.
Oh, okay, sorry. Uh, I've I don't know if you've watched Bridgerton or not, but I love that one. I love that show. I think it's awesome, but the newest season came out in June this year, but it's kind of a I guess a dramedy, I would say, but leans more on the comedy side. It's basically like a alternative history of the Regency era in Great Britain, but
Mhm,
it's got the most diverse cast I've ever seen in any show. It's like because there's a black woman who's the queen regent, and there's all different kind of disabilities. I've seen deaf people, people in wheelchairs, all different races and ethnicities, and they don't address it at all. Like it's like completely normal, and there's no division of class among the different races or anything like that. And so they treat it as if it's all normal, which it should be, you know. And I
Yes.
and I really like the way they did it, and how it's just like
Yeah.
this is how our society should be. And the only
Yes.
one thing that kind of uh, that remains the same, I guess, is that uh, queer people are weren't allowed to be married or anything. You know, that's still a
mhm.
that was in the show is like that's still uh,
Why'd they
not
throw that in
allowed
there?
for.
They were doing everything else so
Yeah,
good.
yeah, I'm not really sure why they didn't include that. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's still the social classes. You're still men were still expected to marry a woman, and you know, in high society and whatnot.
Mm.
Yep. But yeah, anyway, I think it's a really good show. It's so funny and very entertaining. Got a lot of good actors in it.
I something these it made me think, it's like nobody's really addressing, like, the MAGA issue yet. Eddington does a little bit, but not really, like, how awful it's been to live with these MAGA jerks who just are so separate. Like, I guess we just haven't got to the point of rejection where we can transition into open mockery, but it makes me think of, like, I also thought of Star Trek. You go all the way back to Star Trek, and when that came out, they had a Russian on the bridge, and, it's sort of like, "Ooh, this is the middle of the Cold War." It's so important, actually. I mean, it's easy to be
Yeah.
dismissive of Star Trek. It had Uhura was like, the black woman who had the important role. She was an officer, first interracial kiss. They didn't
Right.
broadcast it in the South because of that. They said they did a couple. He's like, and I like this too. One of the things, as much of a jerk as Shatner is, they talked about how when they filmed it, they did a couple where he actually kissed her, and then they did a couple other takes where that looks like they kissed, and they intentionally ruined those takes, so they had to show the take where he kissed her. It's just like these little acts,
Oh,
those are important. Those little acts of
yeah.
rebellions are important. Like, so I think
I
but yeah, that's interesting. We'll see that transition when it comes to the Republican movement, hopefully soon.
I think a lot of the issue there is that Republicans just struggle to see themselves as the bad guys in almost every movie. Like
Yeah.
Trump is like the stereotypical bad leader in so many movies, and to honestly stand behind him, it's just yeah, these people really struggle to see the irony is the issue.
that yeah, that's what I was saying. It just kind of goes right over their head, I guess. Like
Yeah.
denial.
Well, they bought up all the studios too, I mean, they deliberately. And even when Obama was in office, they did this version of the Bible where they had the devil look just like Obama. It's like they deliberately do that because the right wing owns, so much. They're the gatekeepers of all of our literature and whatnot. So yeah, the only thing they don't own is stuff like South Park. Thank God for that. You can't own South Park.
Praise.
Yeah. Independent filmmaking, yeah. Yeah, you gotta look into that more. It's hard to find the good stuff. And I mean, there is good stuff out there. There's a webpage called Just Watch, and it shows all the movies that are released to streaming services because there's hundreds, like every couple of days, there's stuff you've never
Yeah.
heard of. So like scrolling through that and just like the different viewpoints you can get. I think, yeah, like even The Bear, I think was originally filmed. It was in French. I'm not sure where it came. Yeah, I think it was French Canadian. So it's just a different take on things, and it doesn't hit the same notes. Like we as Americans are indoctrinated for a couple things to happen, and those are our expectation, but that's not necessarily what's good or what's right. And so you have to kind of watch these other films from a radically different perspective, and you have to cultivate that appreciation for them, which is part of
I,
the transition of us accepting an actually humanitarian society.
I
What's
watched
so
this
so?
I watched this German show that was dubbed in English, and it was so interesting for me because the English really maintained this feeling that it was set in America. But then every now and then there would be things that would happen that just feel so out of place in America because it's set in another country with German actors and German culture, and it was a funny little discrepancy between the two.
Have you watched The Office, the original Office? The one I haven't seen it, the one in England, like, just the
I've
different
seen
take?
just like isolated episodes, but I haven't seen the full show.
Some people I've heard people comment on that, how that version is just a little bit the humor just is a little bit more spiteful, which seemed odd to me because normally my wife will say this. She's just like, "Let's just watch something that's not American." We've been watching Taskmaster a lot, and it's just like British humor, and it's just a little bit more polite. There's just this courtesy element where Americans are just gross. Like a lot of times they're just being rude is the point of the humor, and it just becomes exhausting, especially when you're living in this hellhole like we are right now.
I love British humor. I love BBC and some of those, especially like some of the older British shows like Are You Being Served and the Vicar of Dibley, which is only in the 90s. But I don't know. Some of those are just hilarious. Mr. Bean.
Yeah. So corrected me. The bear was a French. Yeah, Jean-Jacques Arnaud. So yeah, it's
Another
interesting.
a good animated bear related movie. You guys ever see Brother Bear by any chance?
Oh, I think I did see that. Yeah, I think I
Oh.
did.
Is that the Native American? Is it? Oh, maybe not.
I think you might be right. It's been so long since I've seen it that I would kind of fail to recount the plot, but I just remember it as being a really standout good animated movie.
Oh
Definitely worth
yeah,
revisiting.
I haven't seen it.
There's one thing I remember for sure is that a human assumes the body of a bear and becomes more empathetic.
Yeah.
Oh
And then
yeah.
another good one is Cocaine Bear. So you could watch the bear, Brother Bear, and
Bear
Cocaine Bear.
marathon.
It'd be a good bear marathon with your kids.
Bearathon. Oh, Bearathon is
A
not.
yes, exactly. A marathon.
Cocaine Bear is actually pretty funny. I've watched it twice. It's actually
Oh,
kind of
it's good. Yeah,
good.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed that one a bit.
Yeah, when I first heard about it, I was like, no,
I
no,
had to. I'm like,
stop
oh,
it.
I have to watch this. I'm like, I had to track it down. I'm like, this is my kind of
Yeah,
movie.
I've heard so much about it now that I think I need to watch it. But I love Elizabeth Banks. I think she's hilarious. So I think whatever she does is probably going to be
It
good.
is good. Yeah, it keeps getting
I'll never
better and better.
forget that. Um,
Yeah. There's a couple genuine moments
I
too of like terror in it. So, although it's not a horror movie. Well, yeah, it's just it's a massacre movie. Everybody gets massacred.
I'll
Mm.
never forget that when I saw Cocaine Bear in theaters, it was right next to the movie Jesus Revolution, and I really love to believe that was intentional and that they made all the Christians walk past Cocaine Bear to get to their movie.
You should have swapped around the slats. So everybody who
Yeah, or
bought tickets for
some of them
Jesus.
Oh my
accidentally
god,
walk into the wrong theater.
that would
And
be incredible. This doesn't seem very Christian.
Yeah, that's like there was once this issue where the panels for the Far Side and Dennis the Menace got swapped. They both turned out so bizarre, like the captions at the bottom. They had the same panel, but the caption got switched. So it was like it did not make
oh,
sense.
that's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, I thought this
Uh,
was really funny. Yeah.
Did you guys hear about that episode of Teletubbies that where the subtitles accidentally got switched with, I think, Mad Men?
I
so,
like that stuff.
so you've got this like awesome image from the episode where one of the Teletubbies is lying on the ground, and the other one says to it, "Look, I know you smoked weed before my grandma's funeral."
That would definitely make it a lot more interesting. I never understood Teletubbies. I heard about it and stuff, and I was like, all right, I'm going to try to see what this is about. I watched a clip of it. It was so mindless, and they're like just gibberish. I'm like, what is anybody getting out of this? I
Isn't it
don't
supposed
get
to
it.
be for people that are like 6 months old?
Yeah.
It's not. You were the demographic
Yeah,
that
but
was
it's like
designed for.
it didn't even look educational to me. It was just like
You're like, what do you mean? Put the square shape into the square hole? I'm not finding this challenging at all. What's the
Coco
big
Melon
deal
before
about this?
Coco Melon.
I knew it was a kids show, but I just wanted to see what it was. But I'm like, even for a kid, I'm like, I don't see that. I don't know. I don't know.
This show brought to you by the letter R. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I just get all pissed. Writing letters to the editor about children's shows. That's grumpy reviews of children's movies. It's kind of a hilarious idea.
In the most recent 28 years later movie, it opened with a bunch of kids watching this famously terrifying episode of Teletubbies that was pulled from TV.
Scary one.
and as they're watching it, that's when the zombies break into the house, and it's a great intro to that movie.
There's
Appropriate.
a scary episode. Like somebody managed to slip this episode by, which is just totally not like any of the other ones. I love that. I love it. Well, that was like we were talking the other day, like the last episode of Little House on the Prairie, they blow up the whole town. That's like actually true. It's like, how could this possibly happen? They blow up the whole town. It's like that's not the impression I have of Little House on the Prairie. I don't know. Oh man. Alrighty. Well, we're over time a little bit.
Nice talking to you guys as always. This was a particularly fun chat.
Yeah, I always am happy to see it. Brandon, I'm always happy to have you back. It's always fun.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoy these talks. I do love watching shows and movies. I had a bunch written down, but I was like, it didn't really go in
Yeah.
the direction that I was like, it's all right. I'll save it for another time.
We watched
Tangents are the
Baywatch the
name
other
of the
day.
game.
I recommend Baywatch, the one with The Rock. It's just so stupid. We gotta kick
Oh
it.
gosh. I I'm not a fan of The Rock.
Oh, well, it's got Zac Efron in it too.
I was just gonna say I am a fan of Zac Efron though. So
He's actually funny because he plays it really straight, and The Rock is like all into like the Baywatch reality. So the jokes are kind of from that aspect of it. It's actually yeah,
yeah.
we kind of laugh out of it.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. It has been wonderful as always.
Yep, great to see you all. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks.